Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 16 of What If Naruto failed his Genin test and was given intense training. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage over on Anime King, and enjoy that guys. Anime King 2 I must say. And also, go ahead and stay in tune for a new episode coming over Anime King 3. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, I do have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post one every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping your support, and yeah, without further ado, we'll just begin this new episode. Start the intro. So, the last part that we left off, as Sakura couldn't talk properly, but she was able to get her words out by using the clipboard. As she told Naruto that what happened between them, as it didn't really mean much. She didn't want anything to happen after all. If anything happened within the team, they would have to switch teammates. As Naruto told her it was fine after all, she loved Sasuke, didn't she? At that thought, she didn't know what to say. After all, did she like Sasuke anymore? She didn't know, as these new feelings and thoughts were popped up in her head, and she just didn't know. As Jiraiya came by, as Yuji didn't like that. As he wanted to take her student, she didn't like that one bit. As he was here for Naruto. As he came there, Uncle came and took Sakura, as she was going to be a trainer. She put her through literal hell in the forest, as Sakura thought that she was going to die. As Uncle was insisting on breaking her out of this small, weak Kunoichi attitude and show her what a real Kunoichi can do. She put her through hell as Sakura woke up in the hospital. Sakura's body was badly bruised, but when she fainted and woke up back, she was in the forest of death. Most of her chakra steal away as Uncle left a note telling her to survive out there. Jiraiya wanted to take Naruto on as an apprentice, but Naruto was wondering about his team, as Jiraiya also told him some sensitive information about Danzo and told him to ask him when he see him once again. As Naruto never answered his question right away if he would join him as his apprentice or not. Yujiro came to the office as she was pissed off at Uncle, as she warned her if anything happened to Sakura out there. As Sarutobi told Uncle to go and find Sakura. As Sarutobi made Uncle a deal. If she can help that Kunoichi get strong enough to at least put a good showing against Neji, she will become a permanent Jonin, no more Takabitsu in front of the Jonin name. As that made Uncle smash, he made her way off. As Naruto made his way, as he asked Danzo. As Danzo told him yes, he was the Yami of Shinobi, like how Hiruzen was the Kami of Shinobis. He was the one that lurked in the darkness, but Root. He had disbanded Root some time ago. As he told Naruto that he had something to tell him. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across and please check out for yourself. So this game is new episode. When the Chunin exams come, your actions will be recorded. Show yourself strong. It will make the enemies of Konoha think twice before attacking the village, Danzo said. If you show yourself as weak, war might come to the village in a week. That is the extent of the burden that you have to carry as a holder of the Kyuubi. As Naruto narrowed his eyes. So, I just have to win. No, said Danzo as he slowly stood up. You have to do more than that. You have to show your loyalty to the world. Your power, your might, your strength. You have to become the weapon Konoha need. I have to, said Naruto. As he felt strange, Danzo's voice felt like it had this hypnotic tone to it. He didn't know why. You have to, Danzo said. You have to fight your enemies, and you have to fight your friends. You have to win the tournament with the utmost ruthlessness. No holding back. No caring for the forehead protector of your enemy. Show them your strength, and in doing so, you will save Konoha from the enemy. I will, Danzo-sensei, said Naruto, as his right hand clenched tightly. I will show no mercy to those that step against me in the tournament. Danzo smiled as the bandaged eye was open, unknown to Naruto. As Danzo placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, I'm sure you will, Naruto. I'm sure you will. The week passed rather quickly. It felt strange though, like some sort of hazy dream. He trained. He learned some sort of strange Bijou bomb. He's trained with his Tanto against Kakashi. He felt strange, but he just couldn't pinpoint why. It was like he was missing something important. And the day of the Chunin exam started, as Naruto was standing calmly, with Sai beside him, like the time hasn't changed him at all. Dickless. Pervert, said Naruto, as they turned to face the proctor, Kakashi Hatake. The rest of the Genin hopefuls were there, some of them nervous. Well, Sakura was not here. She can't be late. We have to pass the exam together, said Naruto as he looked around. Dickless, stop being nervous, said Sai. There is still time. As Hiruzen looked down, as Sakura was not there, he had received some complaints from the girl pairings, and if the girl did not show up now, it wasn't going to be good at all. Where had Uncle brought the girl to begin with? Konoha Ninja Unki grumbled from the side, always lacking in quantity, quality, or punctuality. Now, Tishikage, the Taki Kage said in a low tone that is a serious offense. The Taki Kage had long hair, spiky, and dark eyes and a goatee. The robes that he wore weren't as white as the normal Kages, but they were of a dark green color. His bodyguard was a dark-skinned girl, with green hair and orange eyes. Thank you, Sui and Dano, said Hiruzen. But there will be no need, I'm sure. They're just merely been delayed. To be late is to be dead, the Kumo ambassador said, which was Yujito, as she turned her head towards the Tishikage with a dry gaze. What kunoichi can this Haruno be, if she's late to her own graduation? Be as it may, the Son Kage said, it is not our decision whether or not to proceed with the exams. They are hosted by Konoha, thus it should be their right to decide. His Kage clothes were a striking deep purple, which contrasts with his grey eyes and hair. Indeed, the Kazekage said, sitting down next to the Son Kage. Arashi-san, the Kazekage called the Son Kage. While young, he's correct. And considering your suspicions on who is coming to interrupt this program, we can't have any delay going on, the Kazekage said. Is this why you're here, Kazekage-sama? The Takikage asked with a slight smirk. I wonder how you feel about your youngest dying at the hand of a Konoha shinobi. I'm actually thankful, the Kazekage said as his eyes dropped on Sugen, making the man gulp nervously. My youngest is a menace that caused me far too many shinobis of my homeland. The people are happier now than before, and we have already received reparations to the loss of the Ichibai, which will bring Konoha and the San closer in the future. Indeed, the Hokage said. I will now announce the beginning of the exams. There was a flash of light, soon, followed by a giant scroll spreading out over the arena. As the words read on it, Midoriya Anko, sexy, apprentice arrives, soon followed by a pink blur that landed right between Sai and Naruto. The blur hand then reached out and grabbed both Sai and Naruto's neck to hug them. One of Sakura's eyes were closed in a wink, even though there was a gas running across it, like some animal had clawed her in the face. Her sleeveless fishnet shirt showed off her arms. She had small scars here and there. Her hair was short. She had streaks of purple and green running across it. She hummed a nice tune as she released her teammate. As she stretched, she wore a short, brown miniskirt that came close to indecency, and beneath her fishnet shirt was a one-piece black dress. Her left ear had a piercing. There was a small, green jewel in it. Kakashi cleared his throat. Haruno Sakura, you're late. As people that knew his tardiness looked towards him, telling someone that they're late. Sakura blinked once as she looked at the man. She then flipped him the bird, as Kakashi simply chuckled. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Hinata was in her wheelchair, looking at television, watching the arena from where she was. Her father had visited her and told her what was going to happen. She hadn't even cried. She had just pleaded if she could watch the Chunin exams. She pushed down her feelings, everything, as she just wanted to watch Naruto win. She had no doubt that he would win, as she sat there with her unresponsive legs, watching. She could have become a nurse if she was born in a civilian family. She could have been the kind nurse to talk to the people, helping them, helping the children. Yet, there she was, a cripple, who couldn't use her legs. A worthless Hyuga, who was going to be discarded, who was going to be used to help the clan because of a political marriage. And then she was going to be discarded. Her father beside her was stern. Father, she whispered. Yes, Hinata? I'm sorry, she said. Hayashi took a deep breath as he closed his eyes. As he tried to compose himself, he could do this. He could do this. He just had to say it wasn't your fault. Sure, that was to admit weakness. And Hyuga never admit weakness, but in this state, Hinata was no longer a viable kunoichi. He didn't have to force her anymore to grow up stern and tough. He could let her be, he could act kindly if he wished to. He could be her father and cherish her as his precious daughter who survived. But he didn't say those words. His mouth refused to say them. You should be, he said, as she slowly lowered her head after that. As the place went silent as the announcer finally spoke. And the first match of tuning exams will be Neji Hyuga against Sakura Haruno. And with those words of tuning final exams finally begin. Back out in the field, there was so much blood on her hands. It hadn't even washed away properly. There was so much pain back then running through her body. But now she was back, she was here, with her two teammates as she had to hug them before anything. She was happy that she was here with them once again. As she looked towards her hand, that scary, purple hair, or put her through so much. It was a lot, but all she had to do was win. She had to kill the white eye enemy. She had to take him down. Yes, she had to kill him no matter what. Haruno Sakura, as Sakura was standing in front of Neji, her mind clipping back into focus. Begin! Neji narrowed his eyes, he activated his block gun, hoping to end this quickly, but he had to see something first. If this was some sort of illusion, because the girl was running straight towards him like kunai in hand. Was she stupid? Did she really think she could handle him in close combat? Just because she trained hard for a little short amount of time, she think that she could defeat him. As Neji moved forward and hit her right in the stomach, as he expect her to fly away, crash on the ground, but to his surprise, she smiled. She smiled with blood coming from her mouth. Neji didn't understand. He was sure that he put in enough force to knock her down, but yet she was still standing and smiling. Boom, said Sakura, as there was something under her fishnet shirt. Smoke started to seep out of her quickly, swallowing the entire area. Poison and itchy powder mixed all together. Poisonous vapors as it swallowed Neji. Neji started to claw at his eyes as it was affecting him badly. At the moment, Sakura was in a happy world. Something was incredibly wrong because she was fine. Yes, her body would spasm and go through an extended amount of pain for a while, but she was fine. After all, she was in a happy world where her parents were fine, at home, happy, and she had both of her teammates. That hellish training, what she went through, it was just the bad world that she wasn't going to focus on right now. And she wasn't going to let this dumb Hyuga prick move forward and hurt her teammates. Not a chance in hell. Her body finally kicked back in and she started to move. She moved her kunai forward as she was going to stab it right through his eye, but the proctor arrived and stopped her. Sakura Haruno. As she turned towards him with a smile. You have won the match, he said. Yes, she said, as she spat blood from her mouth and started to walk back towards where she had to go. As her walking was nimble, Kakashi noticed the girl as she was just bobbing her head up and down as Jewel was coming from inside of her mouth. Kakashi called the medic names. Seems like the both of them needed help. Meanwhile, interesting match, Kazekage said. Short-lived though. Well, that is how the match are supposed to be after all. It seemed like the Hyuga have no tolerance for poison. I recognize some of the herbs used by the color, the Taki. Man said. It's a simple but effective idea. Actually, a kill switch based on a lack of chakra, but to be able to execute it at the right moment. Quite incredible. The sound leader said the tag had to be saturated with chakra before a lack of chakra had them burst, and not to mention she got a direct hit to her own chakra coils. For her to stand after that and still try to kill the enemy, I must say, the pain for her must have been excruciating. It seems like she drug herself to numb from the pain. It would explain her late arrival, and not to mention her strange behavior, numbing her entire body so she wouldn't feel pain. A tricky way to deal with the Hyuga, the Hokage said. Ultimately, a one-shot kill, but still, it's workable. As Hiruzen was planning to have a serious talk with Anko. She come from a civilian background, correct? Said the Neji Jinjoki. Indeed, Hiruzen said. Someone helped her with the tags, the Neji told Yujito. Top mark. Before and after, I doubt she'll be able to stand for her next fight. That attack though was a last kamikaze attack. Useless on the battlefield until the very last moment, when you're on the brink of death. Even so, explosive tags have been better. I'm with the Hokage on this, Kazekage said. And she did it, without even after hurting herself by using explosive tags. She's tuning rank. Yes, there's little to say. It seems to be a can be countered with simple ink. What a terrible thing, said the chief of the sound, as Hiruzen wrote down the tuning rank under Sakura's name. The next match, Naruto held on to the arena as he jumped over. Boom! He landed in the arena, as his eyes were already red with slits in them, as the ground cracked under the weight. He slammed his fist into his palm. Well, Tenten swallowed nervously. She was there when he was fighting the Sand Ninja. There was no way that she could win. Whatever bloodline he had, it made him a monster. But she had to try. At least, if she put up a good show, she had a chance of moving on to Chunin and get more rewarding missions. Find a Jonin, the apprentice too, and get one step closer to becoming like Snazzy of the Sanin, her idol. As she made her way down there, she was already holding on to her scroll. As she held on to her weapon pack, she could do this. She trained for this, she had to win. Well, said Naruto's right foot tapping the ground impatiently. Are we gonna begin? No killing if it can be avoided, said Kakashi. As he looked at both of them, you may now begin. Tenten jumped back as she pulled out 3 scrolls. A barrage of weapons came raining down on the spot where Naruto was, as they slammed into him, many of them, tearing into his jacket and his shirt and his shoulders. But yet he didn't move, as blood seeped from his body. Hey girl, he said, are you the trap expert of your team? What if I am, she yelled, as he didn't even seem fazed by the blood leaking from his body or the metal sticking out of him. As Naruto narrowed his eyes at her, remembering of the cord that was set up that pierced Sakura's throat in the Chunin exams. His grin turned feral. Then I have a debt to repay, as all the weapons exploded out of his body, as his body got engulfed with flaming chalk around him as 2 tails emerged. And let it be known, I always repay my debts tenfold. As he shot forward, not even Kakashi's Sharingan could predict it quick enough in time, as Naruto's speed was just that fast. He didn't hesitate, he didn't waste any time, as his chakra arms ripped right through Tenten, bursting through her stomach. In his mindscape, Naruto looked pale. What's going on, he said as the fox was laughing. As Naruto was confused, he didn't want to do that. But he did. Look above you, Naruto. As Naruto was confused until he looked up, as he saw it, a twisted red and black eye looked above him, as it was spinning. It was spinning wildly. It was focused directly on him. It resembled a 3-pronged shuriken. It felt wrong, it felt evil just looking at it. The power of the Mangekyo Sharingan, the fox said, with a snarl. A terrible power, cursed and wretched. How it feels, I wonder. How it feels to be betrayed, to be used, to be forced against your will, to have your freedom taken away and never be given back. How does it feel, Naruto Uzumaki, to be myself? What are you talking about? What's going on? You can't remember. The Kodemasukami steals and rapes the mind, the memories. The fox looked on at the eye fondly, like he was remembering something. I offer it as a gift. From brother to brother. It was supposed to be a gift of friendship, but this is what they made of it. It was supposed to ensure loyalty between friends, but it only bred dominance and tyranny. Remember, Naruto, show no mercy to your enemies. Be the weapon that you need to be for Konoha. Slaughter anyone in your way. Who am I to refuse such an offer? Stop it, Naruto yelled. Stop it? Why? A third voice said. The tone was him. It was his own voice as Naruto was confused. Why should I stop it? I mean, it was so fun. A clone of Naruto stood there, red eyes, a wicked smile on his face. You have nothing to say. Won't you say hello to your brother in anguish? I felt all alone down here, you know. Hearing that big fuzzball over there wallow about madness, hatred and malice and all that. And you just go around acting like all the glares, the stares, that they did not matter. But at least you did change a bit. It was nice. I was no longer left in the corner. You then said that you were going to kill them, tear them to pieces and make them suffer for what they did. But then that thought went away. As a clone of himself sighed. You can't forget it. It's time for payback. You have to make them pay. You have to make them suffer. You have to make them scream. They dare talk behind our backs, acting like we were scum, when they should have honored us. They should have bowed and kissed the ground where we walk. They should have held us up high as heroes, not slammed us down in the ground like monsters. And that thing over there, dark self pointed, it grants me freedom. Your darkest, your deepest desires. All, the hatred, everything. Let's slaughter them. That woman that gave us that nasty glare. Let us rape her daughter in front of her and kill her son. And feast on her blood like we should. They will bow to us. Let them know our power and bow down to our strength and see that we are above them and they are nothing. As the clone held out his hand, we are the same. You and I. Let us do this. They cannot beat us together. Don't you want this? Don't you want to be free? Don't you want revenge for the way they treated and mocked you? As Naruto could feel what was going on outside as a strong hit slammed in the girl's chest. But yes, she was still alive. He was torturing her, but he was still keeping her alive. Well, brother, the dark Naruto stepped forward as the water turned to red. It was blood. Rotting blood. Together we can do this. No. No, said Naruto. So, you refuse me, the dark half asked. You refused my might, my power, the strength that can guide you to freedom. And for who? A half sociopath that makes pretty drawing. A damn sensei that you barely know. A girl that let you down and act like a damn lunatic on a drug high. A old man that just used you for his own accomplishments. Is this really what you're exchanging your freedom for? These rotten, corrupted people. These stench, putin bodies that would eventually rot and die. They're not like that, Naruto shouted out. No, then look. There was a sickening squelching sound. The girl that he was fighting had her entrails removed. His claw hand healing her, keeping her alive as her eyes were wide, looking. As Naruto didn't understand, as her screams echoed through the entire sewer, rattling his ears. She no longer had a lower body, but yet she was still alive, as she was being held up by the hands. She was constantly rotting and healing. The pain was, please let me go, she begged. She begged in agony and suffering, as Naruto covered his ears as the water beneath him hands started to emerge and pull him down in the rotting, bloody water. Enough, he screamed, as suddenly chakra chains exploded everywhere, blowing everything away in his mindscape, including his dark half. As Naruto blinked, he was on the ground. He was covered in blood, his hands. The place was soaked with the girl's blood that was on the ground. The proctor, over to the side, stood still as a stone. I won, said Naruto. It was enough to make the people in the stand start to scream at the horrific, wicked, evil, dark sight. Kakashi finally snapped back into reality. Death was something that happened in the tournament. But the moment Naruto stepped forward, this malice, this amount of hate, this rage, seeped from his body that even froze Kakashi. The girl was long dead. Yet somehow Naruto kept her up. The moment he removed his hands, her light just faded away. He had hope that his words of not wanting to kill anyone and get vengeance were real. He had come clean and tell him who his father was. The boy seemed to have already known. The boy who was dropping hints every now and then. But this thing that he saw, that ripped that girl apart, was not the same boy that he has been teaching. He had outright murder, toyed with, even feasted on the girl a bit, Tenten was an orphan from the war. Until she had moved out when she became a Genin doing missions. And she got a one-room apartment. And there she now was dead. No one deserved to die in their village. No one deserved that kind of death. This was only supposed to be some normal exam. Deaths were possible, but that kind of death. Up in the boot. The Hokage was trying to act like the calmest person. The Tsuchikage had a grin on his face, finding the whole situation rather amusing. For some reason, the Neji Jinjulki was calm, the others not so calm. Was this display designed to show us the ruthlessness of your village, Hokage-sama? You must have recovered your losses from the attack quite well, if you're willing to see your own shinobis die at the hand of your Jinjulki. He does appear to be in control, if a bit on the sadistic side, said Yujito as she looked down. It wasn't anything that she couldn't kill, however. She was confident that she had him on the experience, not to mention the speed. Well, unless he could control more tails of power, then she was screwed. You would die, the Nibi said. Her voice, incredibly calm. The Kyuubi is different. He has always been different. How can he be different, said Yujito, not trying to accept the fact that she would lose his boy. He's no different than the Haxabi or you. Answer me, she said, as Nibi said nothing. I could just ask B, you know, to ask the Haxabi, then do so. It is not my task to answer your questions. I believe you should pull him off the exam. Hokage-dano. The sound chief spoke. He will no doubt be a chunin. We saw his might. And the next fight will be... Don't you dare, Tsuchikage said. The man still smiled in amusement. I want to see him fight my granddaughter. If he's really in control, then he won't kill her, would he? As only he knew after all. It was his granddaughter. To have her kill on Konoha grounds would be wrong. And if he isn't in control, then this is only a bark, and he has no bite. And if he does kill your granddaughter, Sugen said, would you claim it as your fault? Tuh, that was all Nikki said. Well, is your proctor daydreaming or what? Isn't the corpse going to be removed so the next match can start, Oniki said. Meanwhile, Hinata was watching. And she couldn't believe what she just saw. She watched the carnage unfold in front of her. And she couldn't believe it. The screams had begun. The children in the hospital had to leave. The nurses removing them from the sight of that girl getting ripped apart. Even her father tried to get her to move as well. She had remained though. She had grabbed onto her father's hand when he tried to take her away. She had said no to him for that, and he let her stay. What is this? She whispered. Where's Naruto-kun? As she couldn't believe that was Naruto. That wasn't Naruto. You know the Jinjulki, Hayashi said. The boy practically announced the world already, so he doubted the third law was still in effect. Not to mention what she said, Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun? Said Hinata. He was always smiling in class. I admired him. He was a failure like me, she choked out. But he always smiled. He fought on. That isn't Naruto-kun, she said. It can't be him. A Jinjulki is a host of a Bijuhai, she said calmly. When the Kyuubi attacked Konoha, the fort had to seal it in a baby. That baby was Naruto Uzumaki. In the orphanage. He has the Kyuubi inside of him? Yes, Hayashi said. And Jinjulkis, they are renowned for being weapons of mass destructions. The Ichibai, the weakest of them all, could raise the sand to the ground if given time. Fuinjutsu, the art of sealing, was the only known mean to interact and counter the demons. The first Hokage sealed the demons and handed them away to ensure peace. But somehow the Kyuubi got free and attacked Konoha. Naruto-kun wasn't like this. He wasn't like this because of that. Indeed, Hayashi said. Why hold him prisoner when killing the baby would give Konoha years of peace? The fools knew nothing of seal or demons, thinking that demon could die. It will simply reform until seal once again. You children weren't supposed to know. To make sure that the enemies didn't attack Konoha in the time of weakness, the tale that spread was a mature shinobi had the Kyuubi to keep all the enemies away. Just as Hinata nodded numbly, a part of the hospital, Sakura, started to open her eyes. She actually felt nice. There was a sort of peace in her body. It only lasted for 3 seconds though, and pain racked her entire body as she felt like her muscles were contorted in flames. As a nurse came rushing inside, teammates, she whispered. That was the only thought that she kept in her mind. That, and releasing the boom on her chest. When the time was right, everything else was fuzzy. The drugs, everything else was too much. The purple-haired girl told her that she had to be broken and mended back together. But since they didn't have time, she just had to broke her and give her something to do as she was broken. She said something about a failed state with captured enemy shinobis. Sakura didn't remember that much. As she convulsed again as she lay down, the nurse called for a doctor. It made her remember there was no doctors in the forest. She had bled using leaf to place over her wounds. Not the poison ones because Sai told her about them. And what to eat because Naruto told her about them. She wished they were there with her, but she was all alone in the darkness in the night of the forest. And the tiger attacked her. The doctor screamed as the doctor dropped down to the ground. Sakura was confused as she saw the doctor holding onto his arm. She broke his wrist by accident. As two shinobis came rushing inside, she glared at them. They were coming after her just like the tiger. It was the only way to survive after all. Prey or predator. And she was done being the prey. That is the reason no one should train the uncle, one of the shinobi said as he held her down, as the nurse gave her the sedative. Outside, both of her parents were there with wide eyes, looking inside. As her mother hand was to her mouth, her father fist was clenched tightly. Sakura, honey, Mobuki said. Stay back, ma'am, the nurse said, moving away from the doctor, who was cradling its broken arm. It's gonna be alright once we get a Yamanaki in here. Keep her strapped, the doctor said, with a bit more anger than he should. He just had his arm broken and sedated. Once they take in her memories and have her placed under lock, they will have her start therapy with a psychiatrist. What is going on, Kazushi asks, as he looked at his daughter who was not moving. She's not the first one to break after a traumatic experience, sir. It happens regularly. That is why Chudin and above get regular visit to psychiatric ward. We were warned on who trained her. Well, the doctor sighed. We couldn't risk drugging her with anything heavy, not with the state her kidneys are in right now, and her internal chakra coils. They're scrambled. What does that mean? Asked Kazushi. It means it will take a while for her to heal. She'll be fine in a few weeks, but mentally, it will take a few months to assimilate whatever she gone through. And from the name, Uncle Midarashi, it must have been horrible. But she'll be back to her normal self, right? Said Mobuki, as she run a hand through her daughter's hair. It wasn't dyed green, it was grass. We don't usually make predictions on these cases, the doctor said. Sometimes they heal, sometimes they don't. Most of the time, they just keep on functioning like a time bomb. We suggest some of them find a quiet work spot, like the archives, but few of them won't listen. If she wakes up and there's no one around, do not agitate her. If she said something condescending, do not let her leave. Understood? Do not undo the straps. If she act violently, call a nurse. I know that she's your daughter, but she's also a kunoichi. They can be extremely violent when they're in a state, the doctor said. Do not, under any circumstances, he said, looking at both of them, attempt anything alone. Call a nurse, an intern, someone. If she wakes up with only you alone in the room. As Kazushi nodded, as Mobuki was still holding on to her daughter's hair, worry all over her face. Good, the doctor says he left to take care of his broken arm. The intern and nurse left after that, and the two of them remained as they sat down next to their daughter. Mild girl, said Mobuki. She looked so peaceful. It was only months ago she went on about the Uchiha, said Kazushi. If I had known that this would have happened. There was a knock at the door as a man entered. As he was holding on to Sakura clipboard. Excuse me, he said. And Dr. Torun, is everything alright? Dr. Yakushi said, don't worry. Everything will be fine, the man said. Meanwhile, as the corpse of Tenten was removed, as Naruto climbed back up to the box, the moment he did, he was grabbed by Lee, tears in his eyes. You, how could you? First Neji, then Tenten, you monster! How could you? Shut up! The sound kunoichi snap. Your teammate was trashed for losing anyway. In the sound, if you lose, you die. It's as simple as that. At least someone is taking the exam seriously. Leave the brat alone. Why you most unyouthful person. Let my teammate go, said Sai. You can fight him if you win the tournament. As a kunai was placed at Lee's throat. Lee released Naruto with a hard shove, as Naruto barely staggered back, as Lee went back to the back. I will avenge my teammate with the fire of youth. You're not worthy of being my youthful rival, but I will avenge Tenten, as he glared at Naruto hard. What happened, Dickless? Sai asked. I don't know. Beneath them, Kurosaki and Kidamaru started battle. With the sound of battle raging on, chaos was taking place in the village. Leave no survivors, Orochimaru said, as he had the Kusanagi blade in his hand. Kill them all. Destroy everything. Leave no survivors. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. At the moment, Orochimaru was currently in the village of Taki, going for the secret of the hero water, as he had a wicked smile in his face. Everything was being burned, everything was being destroyed, and no one would be there to pass on information to tell the leader of Taki. Hebei was next to him as she was shaking in worry, as Orochimaru placed some seal on her neck, but he hadn't activated yet, but she was worried. There were screams all around the 100 ninjas from the sound, rampaging through the village without a Kage, or the power of their Jinjuki that was currently in Konoha beam. The Kage bodyguard, the small village, didn't stand a chance. Murder, chaos, destruction was all around. Meanwhile, as Naruto stood by himself, that tiny voice in his mind, something was wrong, he could tell from a long time ago. He used to talk to himself, at first, as he used to curse the people in his mind, saying that he want their demise, saying that he want them dead. But that voice, it wasn't just a voice, it was actually him. The darkest, the wickedest part of him that no wanted the people to burn and suffer. Naruto watched how Kurosaki ripped through Kidamaru's defense. The man didn't stand a chance, his arrows, as her fists were covered in stone as she broke through them. Kidamaru actually yielded before the proctor could land a fateful blow. As the match was over, with her winning, and the two others must come down. Sai patted Naruto on his shoulder. Don't worry, he says, he watched the arena being cleared away. You will always be Dickless no matter what you do. Naruto's hand clenched against the railing as he took a deep breath. Go down there, pervert, he said. The spandex freak is already there as Lee had jumped off the balcony. Kick his ass, said Naruto. I will stab him, it hurts more, said Sai, as he calmly made his way down. As Sai made his way down, imagine, materialize, replicate, he whispered in his head, as he concentrated on creating that image, to make Lee think that he was closer, where he was not. Because when he came up short, he would just stick a blade through his neck and end the fight. You may begin, the proctor said, as Sai activated the genjutsu to send it into Lee's system. The next moment Lee moved as Sai. It was only because of his root train that he was able to dodge a fist that blew past his face. His hand was then grabbed as he was receiving several massive blows to his stomach. Sai couldn't even substitute, the whole lot of Genin was too strong for him to slip away. So he did the second best thing as he threw the ink right in Lee's face. Lee loosened the hole and leaped back as Sai dropped, clutching onto his stomach. As Sai couldn't understand, how did he avoid the genjutsu? You unyouthful person, my anger is not you. As Sai watches the boy remove the ink from his eyes, as he got another bottle of reddish ink. Stand aside because the fire of youth will avenge Tenten when I meet your teammate. Will you kill him, said Sai. Tenten will be avenged. Sai released the red bottle of ink and grabbed a green one. Damn you and your ink, you unyouthful fellow, said Lee, as he kept on rubbing his eyes. Sai did not close in because he was sure that his opponent could still react, not to mention he had internal bleeding. Then I can't let you do that. Your life, it ends here. The green and red ink merged together, creating a brownish thing that merged with the ground of the arena. Lee finally cleansed his eyes as he took up a fighting posture. As he turned his fist towards Sai, I will show mercy upon you, but I will not to your teammate. As Lee moved, Sai leaped back as the ground exploded. The brown ink coming up as spikes that ripped one into Lee's leg, tearing into his foot. But he did not stop. If anything, he seemed to get faster. The youthful flames will make me win this battle, he said as he continued to chase after Sai. And Lee was just too fast. Sai was slammed mercilessly into the ground before he could even think upon dodging. The second and third knocked him to unconsciousness, and the fourth broke his other arm. As Lee stood there in pain, that unlingering pain that was the only thing that made him immune to genjutsu, his sensei had told him to go through pain, to be in constant pain, to be angry, in pain, to make the genjutsu flutter out of his body, for him to realize what is reality and what is not. That was the reason Sai genjutsu did not work on him, so Sai did not stand a chance. He had trained harder than anyone else, and as long as he stood there, his muscles on fire. Yosh, he roared to the sky. Its wings had tiny blades on them, as whenever he pushed it a bit further, he felt pain to snap him out of any genjutsu, so he was immune to them at the moment. Well, anything that wasn't too advanced. Up in his stance, Guy was quiet as Kakashi announced Lee the winner. As Guy flashed away, he reappeared where Lee was being taken. Sensei, as Lee rushed forward in a bone-crushing hug. Tenten, she was killed. I have to rock Lee, said Guy as he whispered softly. That is not what Konoha is about. The fire of youth is not to be used for its bloody reason, to take a life to claim one. Surely Tenten's death was unwanted and unwell then. But you cannot stoop as low as a murderer. Just win this tournament, avenge Tenten by sparing your opponent life, and you will show him the wrongness of his ways. Sensei, Lee said in tears. It hurts more than the weights or the muscles. Why her? Why Tenten? Couldn't have been someone else. Why am I still here? Neji was defeated and now Tenten is dead. Lee, look at me. As Lee looked up, do not let your fires be tainted by anger. Do not let blood boil over your flames. They are a mean for salvation, not one for destruction. Do you understand me? Your Sensei. I can't hear you. Your Sensei. I can't hear you. Your Sensei, Lee shouted. As Ryozetsu surrendered to the sound Kunoichi after she was being mind controlled by her genjutsu. By the time Lee arrived back to the box, Ryozetsu vanished. As the sound Kunoichi came back to the box with a smirk. Let us meet in glorious battle then, my enemy, he said, as he pointed at Naruto who was descending down to the arena. As Naruto turned, as Lee saw his eyes, and he saw a hollow image of the fox, a massive fox that looked at him. And I will butcher you into tiny minuscule of flesh. The words reached Lee's ears as he swallowed thickly. Meanwhile, Kurosaki was not happy at all. Her grandfather's orders were hypocrite to say at least. He didn't want her to die, but at the same time he was ready to sacrifice her for the stone future, but concerned that without her there wasn't a future for the hidden stone. But the fighting between the village about who should rule after the old man's demise was getting stronger, but she should be the one to rule. She narrowed her eyes. She fought Han a few times. Well, the man was a Jinchuriki. He was incredibly powerful. She has been going on low, but he has not. Jinchurikis have massive reserves of chakra, cloaks of bijus, and different abilities, judging on which biju they had. The fox abilities are unknown, sure. It was said that he could topple mountains and burn down forests, but that didn't help that much. Bijus were normally large, so most of them can do that, right? Han's beast controls steam. Roshi's thing was volcanoes, hot flames. She supposed that the Kyu was the same, but thankfully earth and fire was something that stone ninjas learned to fight against. The moment the proctor raised her right hand, her hands were already in the process of going through hand sign. We meet again, the blonde boy said, his eyes already turning fully crimson. I'm gonna enjoy this. In your dream, loser, she snapped back. As the hand came down from the proctor, she speeds through hand sign quickly. She had trained an entire month to master this, to counter the insane speed that this boy possessed. An earth dome rose up from the ground to trap him, but it wasn't made from stone, it was made from jelly, lime. She quickly released a fireball that burned the lime. It was similar to the quick lime, but this will make sure he stayed down. She breathed slowly as she watched the fire burn highly around it. The intense heat trapping him inside. He should pass out at any time now. You know, a voice said that startled her. If you really want to burn someone, you should make sure that you're aiming towards him. She knew the voice was behind her. She tried to melt herself into the ground, but she was grabbed as she was tossed straight up in the air. And to make sure he burned good and stay, you have to make sure that the person cannot dodge, like when they're in mid-air. She turned as the boy opened his mouth as massive flames erupted from his throat. She went through hand signs faster than ever to release a massive water stream that slammed against the fire stream. The momentum threw her back as she landed on the side of the arena wall. As she narrowed her eyes, the smoke filled the entire area. Laughter could be heard. He was toying with her. She clenched her fists. She had spent a month coming up with ways of defeating him. She would not lose. She pulled out steel wires. He was supposed to show them that he's a weapon. To show them no mercy. Wait, no, said Naruto as he shook his head. No! He had to end this now to show the world that he was dangerous. Let me kill her and get this over with. Meanwhile, the real Naruto, or was he the real one, or just a soft on the same side, fighting, flesh, arms that emerged from the ground as they tried to grab him, as they tried to pin him down. Seems like you're outmatched. Can't you help, said Naruto, as he dodged another rotten limb. And why would I, the Kyuubi said, this is you. This is your hatred, this is your malice. You've held it back for so long. It has come towards you with full force. To show you that you've been holding back. To show you that it's gonna take what it wants. But this isn't me, said Naruto as he jumped away from a giant limb that came crashing down. But it is you. Everything here is you. From the hanging pipes, the sewer, the water, the limbs. Everything here is yours. Maybe not yours to command, but everything is yours. Naruto twisted as he brought down his Danto and cut through a small mass of limbs. Bring me your blood. I will tear him apart. As Naruto blinked, a hand shoved right through his stomach. You can't be distracted, said Kyubey. Fight until you drop. Watch as your mind be contorted and twisted because of the Uchiha use. No Uchiha use that eye on me, said Naruto. This is your own doing. Pathetic mortal, Kyubey roared as water and the hands blew back. I am the only reason why you have not drowned in the sorrow that you're currently going through. And this seal is the reason I've let you live. I can born once again after my death. I am an immortal being, not like you pathetic humans. Because even you have hatred, as much as you try to deny it, as more hands start to grow from the wall and the ground. The loneliness of being alone and mock, that misery, has created something dark within you. Something evil. This rot, this stench, that I brought all of this out. That I told you to show your true malice, to not hold back. And finally you are. In the midst of battle, you no longer play around your opponents. You go all out. You go for the throat. You go for the blood. Tear apart the seal, and I will deal with it, leave it, and suffer this until it is over. As Naruto was panting, as he saw the arms came towards him, he slashed them once again. As he felt like he was actually wounded, but he was in his mind, as there was a deep gush along his side. What do you want? There's a last failsafe. Something attached to the seal. Something that was attached by your mother's in the last moment of sanity. It belonged to her seal, and now it belonged to yours. I loathe it and hate it the most. Destroy it. Do it. Open the gate and face it all. Don't listen to my voice roared out. Don't listen to Kyubey. Nah, shut up, Kurama said. This was your choice. Let him rot in it, said Kurama. You insist on keeping us locked away. Now, you will pay the punishment. As the fox looked towards Naruto, as Naruto just looked at the seal, it was far away. How did he distance himself so much? Don't trust him. He's diverting your attention from, I said be silent! Kurama shouted once again. Naruto, a voice said. Naruto blinked as he heard Toki. Hey old man, but you should listen to me, Naruto said to Kyubey. The voice is coming from down the hall. Last time you did not, you paid the price. This time, you should listen. You shouldn't be out this late at night, Naruto. Toki voice was speaking softly. I went to buy paint, said Naruto. Toki shook his head, still making plans, huh? As the man simply smiled it off. His eyes winked wide. Naruto, watch out! You'll pay for this! The sound of broken bones could be heard afterwards. Toki-san, answer me! The young voice of Naruto came out in pain and agony. As Naruto felt his brain pulse in pain. But how did he see Toki die with a snapped neck? If he hadn't even opened the can of paint. No, he opened it. No, he did not. No. You, said Naruto. As he looked towards the fox, it was you. I am, and will always be bound, the fox said. But when malice and hatred run rampant, sacrifice always occurred. I could have saved that pathetic man that you love like a father. The one that saw you for not a monster. But why should I? If that had happened, you'd have continued to think that the world was a safe place. You will do anything for your happiness, not caring about those you condemn around you. After all, you let Ino Yamanaka die for your happiness. You sacrifice your own sensei for your own beliefs. You sacrifice everything to keep the voice in your head, the whispers, to not tell anyone. Sand started to swallow the entire area, pressing down on the steel. What is this? You thought the Ichibai could be whole inside the seal as well along with me? No. As the landscape started to change to sand, this is where I made my grand reveal. I had to use that eye to make sure that you see what you're doing. But now it's time, amongst the massive, amongst all the people, is where I will emerge. Why do this to your brother, said Naruto. My brother is no longer amongst the living. He was sacrificed. What I did, I devoured his soul. Do you know what I mean, mortal? I erased him from the cycle of rebirth. I erase him from the chance to go to something beyond this. I remove him from the cycle of rebirth. He will never be anything beyond this ever again. He's gone, never finding peace. And you know what? He chose that fate no to happen. Because he knew that misery, a lot will be coming. You are doomed, Naruto Uzumaki. May you be the last of your pathetic clan to ever hold me. And may you never be reborn upon this rotten world. The Ichibai roared as sand hands moved forward to grab Naruto. And now, Naruto Uzumaki, as the fox opened his mouth as fire crashed into the sand, forming glass. Glass. As it pointed towards Naruto. It is time that you die. Meanwhile, outside, things were going crazy as Kurosaki was standing on the wall, looking down as Naruto's body had changed. 4 tails were swinging behind him. Let's see you survive this, Kurosaki said. She had 2 scrolls in her hand. As these scrolls opened up and revealed both sand and metallic fragments. As the girl finished her hand sign, as she released molten stream of lava from her mouth. As the magma and the dust come together, the shrapnels and the sand exploded violently, forcing Kakashi to leap away. Kurosaki was panting as a violent cloud of explosions swallowed Naruto. She panted hard. As she looked forward, it was over. When the dust suddenly was no longer there, blam! Blood exploded from her mouth. As 4 tails slammed into her, her head was grabbed violently as she slammed, twisted into the ground, her back straining under the force. Her hair was brought up as she winced in pain, looking into the empty, soulless eyes of the beast in front of her. There was a grin on his face, a wicked, demonic grin that scared her to her bone. She was gonna die. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part to do, like, subscribe, comment, number 1, turn on the bell notifications you posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.